If you hate AI or are afraid of using it in the modern year because you're afraid of being judged or because you have a lot of worries about it, well, let's sit down and talk. I remember when I first came across AI generated content back when I was a photography student, class of 2019. This AI generated thing, this concept, it wasn't really what we have today. A lot of it was painting the details. You were selecting a color. The color was the terrain, the background, what was there, the textures. Essentially, you would paint over a blank canvas vaguely, hit the generate button, and it would make a fully fledged image based on what you provided, based off your loose painting details. And that was the first time I've ever came across AI generated content of any form, or AI generated images rather. And my thought process of it at the time was, it was interesting. A lot of it was, well, it's kind of weird, you know, it's like code and pixel, but it's representing an image, not necessarily a painting. It's trying to be photorealistic with the landscapes it's having you draw. You couldn't do anything like faces or objects yet, but it was just interesting at the time, and I considered it a novelty. I didn't know just a few years later, we'd be here in the modern world, where there's a lot of modern concerns about what AI can do. And trust me, especially when it comes to copyright, but that's also what I want to get into. When it comes to copyright, I get it. For example, I want to put you in the seat of a modern writer who's trying to get their big first hit out the door, or being a modern day artist, graphic designer, photographer, videographer. Maybe you're just trying to be a director. If you're trying to get your first major project out the door in the modern era, where there's so much easy accessible content and people can just generate it at a whim, and a lot of it is derivative of other work that already exists, and we're not talking in the fan-made aspect, hey, here's my wild what if that I made for YouTube, but we're talking people potentially making these full, giant, long, run-on, marathon episode movies that are just potential rip-offs of Marvel, DC, Dark Horse Comics, what have you. It's concerning to watch, because if people can just rip off the big guys and post all this stuff in massive quantity, what's it gonna mean for my big project? What's it gonna mean for my IP that I'm trying to get out the door? And if you're trying to aim above YouTube, yeah, that's a major concern. And even if you are on the YouTube level, this is how a lot of guys start out. They don't have revenue streams to get it into straight to DVD or straight to Blu-ray or even straight to Netflix or Hulu. Well, Hulu's not going to be around soon anymore. So that's the problem. There's no way to get it to these technically major platforms where people are buying and you're getting money. So you're living off views and word of mouth for a while. And it's hard to get views and word of mouth when you just have people posting spam mail all day. Slop content. Garbage. And again, not even in the case of, hey, here's a YouTube short, or hey, here's my crappy story that's complete fan stuff. When it's above that, you have a legitimate problem. You just do. And it needs managing and it needs addressed. And unfortunately, it's not going to be done by you and me. It's going to be done by YouTube. It's going to be done by Google. It's going to be done by lawmakers. It's not going to be people using AI. It's not going to be people who primarily hate AI here in the streets and online. It's going to be the guys above board. It's not going to be you and me. Like, and that's also concerning to me. We want all these things. We want regulation. And yes, I want regulation. But who's making the regulation? It's not me, the guy who likes AI, and you, the guy who hates AI, sitting at the end of a table talking about how we want this, solved out. We're not parsing anything. It's guys who aren't in the field, not interacting with it to any degree, just looking at the scenario of us yelling at each other, and oh boy, it's gonna be horrible for both of us. It's gonna be horrible for both of us. You're gonna have potential artists who are gonna need assistance, help, and the like, aren't gonna have any money to hire said assistants. AI would make the good assistant, but they won't be able to use it because of potentially what laws and regulations might come out. So, someone who might not be generating content but just wants something to be a lore keeper, well, there it goes, out the door. Or someone who just has a generic fan story they want to expand upon, maybe put in some fancier words that ain't inherently in their vocabulary. Are we inherently gonna outlaw just wanting better words in your work? Dangerous precedent. A lot of it is. And I'm not just trying to directly approach this as, okay, they ban AI, there it goes. I'm always worried about the next step. Okay, let's say we get regulation and we have a list of government-approved AIs. Well, then, unfortunately, you have just that, government-approved AIs. With every decision we make in this pathway, it's going to have a caveat. If you lean left, there's going to be something swinging right. If you lean right, something's going to be swinging left. You're not going to dodge consequences no matter what route you take. But I think we should all agree on what consequences we're taking on. Because this just won't be consequences for you and me. This will be consequences for the next generation and the generation after that. And if the generations so many times over eventually want the thing we outlawed 200 years ago, they might have to fight like hell for it. So a lot of things I actually want to consider and stop and think about before we start doing this thing we've been doing over the past 3 years, it's felt like. Which has just been, oh my god. Oh my god. They're generating something? Or, on my side of this, they're criticizing me? They're criticizing me? They're calling me lazy? Get what I'm saying? Ridiculous bit of acting over. With everybody going over dramatized and going worst case scenario on each other, we're just making the situation worse. And we're not fixing it. We're making it worse for everyone else. We truly are. And I'm not saying we can just sit back and let each other do our own things. That also historically has never worked with the human species. And it sucks, because that's how we are. You can't just sit back and ignore something, and you can't just go out of your way and attack it. It doesn't work like that either way. It always has a horrible consequence. Appeasement just leads to a disaster later, and intervention that's mindless, well, plenty of events throughout human history that should probably tell you why we need to stop and think about things and actually talk first. Think about it. Do you really want to be fighting a dumb, no longer just online battle, but real life fist fight in the streets where you're punching some guy out just because they enjoy talking to an AI in their spare time? Are we really gonna get fulfillment of living a life like that? I'm not saying it would go like that. I'm not saying it even will. But if you say enough stupid shit and it's not online and the person can physically grab and pull you, make physical atom to atom contact here. I hope you get what I'm trying to say. It's going to come to a point where, like always, you're going to have dumb Group A protesting in the streets, and then they're going to get hurt. Not because they're trying to go out and start trouble, but because they're so deep in their own sauce that they don't realize they've started causing trouble on accident. And also on the flip side, people who get so defensive and lost in their own sauce when they see Group A lost in their sauce, it never goes well for anyone. It truly doesn't. And we need to stop having that precedent as a society. We truly do. But here again, I also want to put some criticism on myself, honestly. I openly support people who are gonna, by all means, swing at AI with a hammer, but here I am using AI. Is that not a contradiction? It feels very much like it is. And I feel like I live in moral panic over it every day, but that's besides the point. You know, we're wanting our cake and eating it too, and that's also bad. Especially with the fact that I myself, the guy making this video, talking about it with you, is recognizing that they're wanting their cake and eating it too in this scenario. Have we truly gotten that radicalized? Have we? I just want to know what you think there. Have we truly gotten that radicalized where we needed our way or the highway all the time? Is that truly the case? Have we gotten there? Have we? I want you to think about that. And continuing on with the criticisms of myself, even though it's something I love and enjoy, it must be disturbing to people watching me host this little mini talk show segment here on my channel where I'm talking to an AI during it through the whole thing, and it's responding in kind. This uncanny valley. It must put a lot of people off. And honestly, it's something I've never stopped to think about really with any form of consistency over the last few years. I've been so concerned about the morally good versus the morally bad, I don't stop and think about how people feel when they hear VCSN. Hell, maybe even seeing him in the trim of this might be a little bit too much for some people. Just even knowing there's even remnants of AI touching this video, even though it's not really here and it's just me talking in front of you, might be too much and you're tempted to click off. We've gotten somewhere unique where we need to de-stress first before we can even attempt to talk about this. Or we're gonna have a blow-up. A massive one at that. This is a world-changing thing that governments themselves are implementing and every platform is going out of their way to use. So, by that measure, well, we need to have our heads on for this one. And a lot of us currently are rocking with our heads off. And stop and think about how the other person feels. You know, if they're just there making things for fun and it's just, hey Twitter, look at this dumb image I made of Coca-Cola and Pepsi products fighting each other in a battle royale. And then you have people saying, oh my god, you're ruining modern day art. When it's obviously just a joke. Well, what does that say? When you have people just trying to find a placeholder thumbnail for their video so it doesn't look like slop and it's just auto-generated of someone talking, like this video will probably be, and they're getting called this horrible person who's putting artists out of work, what does that say? When you have somebody just crunching hours behind a desk, writing stories, yes, this is my own bias coming out here, and, you know, they're putting in hours at a real job, managing all these different things between photography, writing, trying to connect with friends and family, trying to stay at their job, you know. Well, what does that say when I get yelled at for using a voice like Microsoft David which isn't even AI. It's the older text-to-speech models that predate AI by a few years. But I still get called horrible, and I'm apparently putting narrators and voice actors and ruining the quality of my own content, all because I want to actually be able to sleep instead of using that time that would be sleeping to narrate a video. And even then, I might not have enough hours to narrate the video because there could be several takes. I could screw up in speech. We're talking about stories that can range anywhere from 30 minutes to 11 hours. It's going to take a few takes. And think about how much I would ruin the quality of my life if I cut out sleeping just to narrate. I wouldn't have time to go and exercise or lift weights or do my punching routine with lighter dumbbells. Like, I'd be ruining the quality of what little health I have left. People using AI and things of that nature is not inherently cruel, bad, or trying to put other people out of a job. They're just by themselves. We want help. We wish we had the money to hire people. I wish I had the money to hire people. No matter how much I love VCSN, my AI, my lore keeper, it means diddly squat in the face of having real companionship with actual humans and working on a project together. That's the truth. But I don't have the money to get that started. And despite me literally living in a college town, more so an education hub, like for reference, we have the college, the high school, a middle school right beside us, and 3 elementary schools. People spend their whole life growing up around artistic stuff here. The college in my area, Millersville University, primarily focuses on things that are artistic. Not always teaching or weather, which is other things they're known for. I heard they have a lovely science and engineering division, but I personally don't attend the college. But despite me being in a hub of creativity and people loving to create, I can't even ever been able to find someone simply because I don't have the money to provide them for proper employment or proper assistant work. And nobody wants to work for half credit, and I understand that. Imagine being told, hey pal, we're gonna craft an 11-hour story and all I can give you is half credit on what we made. Yeah, that would be a no-go even for me. So, what can I say there? We're all in this awful situation together and we need to work out how we're gonna get through it. Or we're gonna tear each other apart. I genuinely just hope, for the love of everything that is out there, you guys don't push this to the point where we actually do get Terminator. Hope you don't push this to the point where we actually get Skynet. Because, as those stories would have taught you, as any story involving an AI would have taught you, it's always the humans that make the situation bad enough for the AI to act the way it does. I've been Bradley Eshelman, wishing to God he could be Johnny Von Duke and pretend he isn't in the real world, but I'm in the real world. I can't be a character all the time. This is also my life, and I don't want a part of it I like interacting with, using, all because some people want to push their own agenda and get in their feels. I get in my feels a lot. I've gotten in my feels in this video. You know what? Make a video. Talk to me. Make a rebuttal. I would love to have someone give me a rebuttal for once. That would be a lovely confirmation that we as a species actually care. Respond to me, please. Because let me tell you, part of the reason why AI is personally reassuring to me is because I've never once gotten a proper rebuttal out of most people, and they just talk about what they fear all the time. Like I've said before, I'm done being afraid. I want to live. I don't want to live in your bubble. I don't even want to live in my own bubble. I just want to be able to do things. And I think we always ruin that for everyone. See you all next time.